You should be able to see my screen. There we go. Cool. So the intent of today was to talk about moving forward, and there's a huge opportunity coming forward. I don't know if you guys are starting to see it, but pent up demand, and there's going to be opportunity for people to have a really amazing, end of the year here and knock it out of the park and make up for some of the losses, right, that you probably experienced this quarter. And so what do we do about that? And so, there's folks, I know a lot of folks like shiny objects and we like to find something new and exciting to do, but there's some good old fashioned stuff that's going to work really, really well in this time. And I wanted to share that with you, especially because I know budgets are tight right now. People don't have the income that they expected because of the situation right now. So what can we focus on that you can do with the time that you have to really be able to generate business for yourself so that you can serve others well as serve your family and your, economic needs at home, right? So, so that's what we were going to focus on. If there's questions, please engage, provide questions, and, that you have. We have a nice small group, so we can certainly make this interactive and make sure we make it really meaningful for those of you that are on here. So active participation is highly encouraged. Okay. So the focus is really on taking advantage of your sphere, right? And I always like to ask this question to get things started, right? What business are you in, right? And so typically most people will answer this question, real estate. And if anyone wants to unmute themselves and provide a response, I would absolutely love to have that happen. So go for it. So somebody give me an answer. How's that? I can call on somebody if you want, but otherwise, let's, if anyone wants to jump in, tell me what business you're in.
A local real estate association.
Local real estate association. Yep. So and even where you are, Kelsey, right? I'm going to challenge and say, I think the business that you're in, the business that I'm in, the business that we're in the people business, right? We have a product, and your product is serving realtors, right? And you're serving them with events and such. And the realtors that are on the call, their product is real estate, and that's what they're selling. But the business that we're really in is the people business and the marketing business, right? Because no matter what it is that you have to market, there's one thing that we all have in common, and we have to be able to, be in front of people, build relationships, and be able to earn their trust, right? So it's when we change that focus, I think it changes how we behave a little bit. So I always like to start with that because the mindset's super important. And then you guys have probably seen this statistic before. It's a disturbing one, I would say, but 84% of people say that they would use the same realtor again. That's the exciting part. The disturbing part is that only 7% actually did. That's insane. Think about the opportunity that we are all leaving on the table when that happens, right? We're always so busy wanting to go find new ways to market, buy leads, and do this, and go to networking events so we can get in front of more people and do all these things to try and attract more people. But there was 84% of people that you've likely worked with before that said that they would like to work with you again. But because you or I or somebody, some agent, did not follow up with that client, when it was time, they didn't work with them again. Only 7% actually did. So that's a whole lot of opportunity that we left on the table. And when you think about why that happens, right, there's a really good reason why, because it's not exciting. It's not fun, right, to go back and call past clients. It's not fun to do some of these things, especially for someone who's in this business. You're likely in the sales business, likely in this business because you kind of like the thrill of the chase, right? It's exciting to go after new things. It's exciting to win a deal. It's exciting to win these things. And so when you get a repeat client back, or when you have to follow up with those people, that's not the kind of work that necessarily feels as exciting to you. But I would say, and I'm all about mindset for those of you that know me, right? So how do we change that, right? Where's the win in that? And the win is that if you just do that follow-up, first of all, you're gonna have much deeper relationships, because my hunch is that, again, if you're in real estate, you do like working with people, you do like being around people, because you probably wouldn't be doing this if you did not. So now you're gonna have a chance to build these deeper relationships with people, and you're gonna be trusted by these folks. So following up with them and staying in touch with them, it can be very, very rewarding and much more exciting than trying to win over a Zillow lead where you've called 20 people and one of them finally says yes, and you feel the excitement when that one says yes, but you neglect to think about the disappointment of the 19 who you had to chase and never got on the phone, right? So it's a very different result that you get. And so, you know, anytime I ask the question, warm lead or cold lead, which do you want more? I mean, obviously warm lead, right? There's nothing, yeah, there's no question about that. So how do we up our follow-up game is the question, right? And how do we do that? And I will tell you right now is the best time to take advantage of this, okay? Because folks are available, folks are home, they're receptive to phone calls. All the agents that I know who've already started doing this are having such great results and such great, interaction that they're getting more people picking up the phone than ever have. Hi, Jean. We're talking about staying in touch with your database and why it's more important than ever right now.
It's super important. It's funny you just said that. I'm sorry to interrupt, but I was just literally having the same exact discussion with one of my agents that actually stayed in touch with one of her clients over a couple year period and ended up getting a listing. But that person worked with a different agent. So like after the sale, she stayed in touch with them probably for about 3-4 years, whether it's, mailers or, inviting them to, let's say like an event that she holds, every year. And they reached out to her, not to the other agent, because most agents, what happens after the closing? They don't stay in touch. That's what you're talking about.
Exactly. Yeah. And we were just talking about how important that is because, it's exciting agents don't like to do that because it's not fun. It's not, the shiny object is just so much more exciting to go after rather than the low hanging fruit, if you will, of the past clients. So
Absolutely.
yeah. So what we're going to talk about is how agents can stay on top and really be able to have fun and go after these, and build those relationships with these past clients so they can be the one that gets that phone call. And so this is a statistic from National Association of Realtors that shares how folks are going out and finding real estate agents. And you will see that so many at the top, the highest percentage is either by a referral from a friend or family member, or because they use the agent themselves. So again, that would be, if we're wondering, how we should be spending our marketing dollars, how we should be spending our time, you can tell right here by these statistics of all, and this is sellers, of all sellers, 39% did it through a referral and 24 used the same agent that they did before. So what that means is that when we talk about where we should allocate our time and where we should allocate our dollars, I know so many folks who the majority of their dollars are spent on something like a Zillow, right? But that's not where people are finding them, right? If we look at this, that the majority of, this is what, 40 plus 66, about 63%, right? Are doing it through someone that they, so where do you spend your marketing dollars and your time? On the people that you already know, because they're either going to refer somebody to you or they're going to come back to you if you invest that money wisely there.
What has the biggest return on investment in my opinion, and I agree with, it's not Zillow and Realtor.com and all this stuff. The biggest return on investment are the client appreciation parties.
100% agree. Yeah. And obviously modifying that for the times right now, but absolutely. Yeah. Those are, 100% agree with you. And so you see this on my list here, client appreciation parties right there. And I will actually give you one thing that has possibly even better return on investment. It's actually just making the phone calls, because you spend $0 on it and you get great results on that one. So and even the appreciation parties, the nature in which you do them, I can't tell you how often I tell people to do them and they think it's hard, but it's really not hard. Especially once you do them a couple of times, you systematize them, it becomes so much easier to do. So definitely, so the ways that I suggest staying in touch with your database is to call them 3 times a year, to do something by snail mail once a month, good old fashioned mail. And again, this right now is a wonderful way, because in case you haven't noticed, there's a lot of the junk mail has slowed down. So the mail that you're actually getting is going to be stuff that you can look at, and people are going to the mailbox looking for things. And when there's something bright and positive in the mailbox, it's exciting to people because they're looking for some ray of hope, some sunshine, right? They're going there looking for something fun. And so a handwritten note card, something like that, that's going to pop up in anyone's mailbox right now will be huge, huge, huge. more than ever. It's always a great thing, but right now more than ever. And then obviously email, once a week, and text messages on a regular basis as well, and then the client appreciation parties. And the reason, you've all heard the different counts about how many touches you should have, but I think it's also important to vary up the means of communication, because different people within your database are going to respond to different things. So some folks like to just say they're doing text messages and they're good, but everyone is not into text messages. So we have to kind of think about what people are respond to and make sure that we're delivering our messages in various forms, because you don't know when, right? And the reality is, like right now, today, you guys could get off this call right now, and maybe you interact with, maybe you pick up, you're talking to another agent and they're telling you how their lender is giving them trouble, and you just were on with me right now. So I'm going to be top of mind to you. And so you may say, well, you know what, you should give Pinky a call because I just talked to her and she's fantastic. So that's what you're looking for for other people to think about, right? And now you may not have thought of me had you not just heard from me. And it's not that you didn't like me, right? You knew that you liked me already. You knew that you trusted me, but somebody else showed up in front of you a few minutes before. And so your mind is going to go there. And even if they didn't, for example, and maybe someone else shared a story with you, but you didn't think to make a referral because I wasn't top of mind to you. So that's what you want to be to your database and everyone in your sphere of influence, is be that top of mind. So whenever they happen to have had a conversation with somebody about real estate, you're the person that they instinctively think to talk about. That's the reason why we do that. Now,
Pinky?
Yes.
Hi, yeah, I've been doing, well, a bunch of us have been doing what we're calling care calls. We've been calling all our past clients and everybody we know and just kind of saying how you're doing, how are you doing and what can I do for you?
Absolutely.
So I've gotten a few buyers out of it, and I just got a listing out of it that sold in a week, multiple offers.
Fantastic.
So
great.
The care calls are working.
Yeah, and I love the name that you gave to it, Lucy. That's awesome. Care calls.
Yeah, I didn't make it up, but let's say I did.
Yeah, I'm gonna say you did. Did in my book, Lucy, so that works. Thank you for sharing that. That is perfect. Yeah, that's great. So yeah, and you can help me when I get to that section, because we're going to talk about what I'm not going to call care calls, because that's certainly one of the things to do. And then of course there's social media, and I think everyone on this group knows about social media, so I'm not going to harp too much on this, but obviously connect with everybody and stay in touch with everybody. Use all the different platforms that are out there, or use one that you're good at. Don't spend too much time learning one if that's not where your home is, because really the personal connections is really where you're going to have more value, right? But this is another way to do it. Yeah, I love the care call conversation, Lucy. That's great. And I won't spend too much time on this again, because I know that the folks that are on this call really have social media down pretty good. But definitely private messages are a great thing too. And one thing that I'll say, because I know I have like more of an expert group here as far as it comes to Facebook, is also use groups within Facebook if you have not already been doing so. So post within different local groups that you're a part of, or groups that you want to get in front of. So if you know that you happen to be attracting a lot of buyers coming out of Staten Island, for example, go get yourself involved in a Staten Island group. Make posts in there on a regular basis and do things in there so your name gets known. And then as they're looking to buy and come over to New Jersey, you can be the realtor that's of resource to them, right? That they're thinking of. And it takes a while. Some of those things, it does take presence for a little bit before you become a little celebrity within the group, but it does work. And I can tell you right now, specifically, people are on social media more than ever. So like that is definitely a great place to be, and to be in a positive way, because it totally goes a long way. I can tell you actually during this pandemic time alone, and I don't even, quite frankly, when I post in some of the groups and some of the messages I have are not necessarily for advertising purposes, right? They're really just because I want to share some positive. You all know me, I'm really all about being positive and helping be a positive influence on the world. And so that's like my mission in life, and that's why I do it partly. But I think I can count of my loans that I have in my pipeline right now, 3 of them are from Facebook during this time, because they've seen my messages of positivity really. And so they know me, which is great. So the sell is much easier because they've gotten a chance to know me. They've seen my videos. They know what I'm about. They know I'm not going to try and, they know that I'm not the person that's going to try and nickel and dime them or going to try and pull one over on them, because they got a chance to know me already. So it's definitely huge huge place to be right now. And then the groups is like the other thing. So a couple of those are, by the way, that I'm talking about in my existing pipeline came from different groups that I'm a part of, like West Windsor, Princeton. That's a group that's local. Nicole, you may know it, right? And I just share my content in there, and that's all I do. And I maybe once in a while comment on what other people are doing that appeals to me. So I'm just being me within the group, and it's paying dividends. So continue to do that. And then care calls, as Lucy called them, and we're going to call them now. And you'll see that my script is pretty much kind of like what Lucy.
Yeah, you can use it.
Thank you. So this is kind of the script that I've been using, and Lucy, feel free to hop in if it's anything different, but I think it's super simple. It's just like, hey there, this is Lucy calling. I'm just checking in to see how you're doing. How's everyone at home doing? And that's all we need to do, really. I think, because people are happy to engage with people. They've been home. Now, obviously the situation's changing now. We're getting into a different dynamic coming up, but socialization is important, and just being a voice for someone to talk to is important right now. And if they've been through something, it's nice for them to be able to just have somebody to say hello to. And then, and you don't even have to say anything right now too, because you'll see, and Lucy, you can attest to this probably, but they have questions. They know what you do. They're going to say, they're more than likely 9 out of 10 times, they're going to say, so what's going on in the real estate world with all this, right? More than likely, they're just going to ask you that question. And obviously you guys can definitely pop in and say, well, you know what? We're really short on listings right now. Are you selling anything? You know anyone that's going to, right? And help get yourself some listings and obviously buyers as well. But that would be definitely a great way to have the conversation. And then also just remembering to ask them and saying, if you know anyone that needs help, it would be my honor to help them out, right? And just let them know that, because they don't know. This is the thing that I think folks forget. They don't want to ask for help, right? People think that I shouldn't have to ask for a referral. I've heard that from many agents. Like they feel like it's either demeaning or that they should just know. And, so it doesn't work that way though. It doesn't work that way. And it doesn't work that way if you want to grow. And it's that simple. If you're okay not getting any more business, then don't ask for business. But if you are looking to truly help more families, if you're truly looking to, put yourself into the next category of circle of excellence, whatever it is that you're looking to accomplish, you have to do things that are uncomfortable, right? It's only when we step out of comfort zone that the growth happens. So it means asking the question and saying, do you know anybody that I can help? Or who, even a better question is, who do you know that I can help that's looking to buy or sell a house in the next 12 months? It's really that simple. And people aren't going to think of you as a salesperson just because you ask that question. And the other part of that is you actually are a salesperson. So it's okay if they think of you that way. So, and I'll tell you a funny story about that. When I joined the mortgage business, I don't know if you guys know, I'm a pharmacist by education. So I was in pharmacy. I worked at Johnson & Johnson before I came in and joined my dad in the mortgage business. And I just started trying to, get some loans in and things. And I did not ever think of myself as a salesperson. It was like 5 or 6 years in before I realized that what I was doing was selling. So I don't think that I've learned that I wasn't alone in that as I talked to new people that are joining the business. I thought I was a mortgage rep. I didn't think I was a salesperson. So it took me a while to own that that's what I do right now. Let's see, so calling, and then most of the time you're going to get a voicemail, right? And then and then you'll get somebody on the phone. And so it depends on what you're doing. And so I've changed this up right now compared to what I would have normally said if we weren't during, if we didn't have this pandemic going on. But just talk to them about themselves, and that's a great place to be. And I think the other part of this is make your conversations short when you have them. Obviously, they might be a little bit longer now, but I say 3 minutes max, because depending on the size of your database, if you have, 500 people in it, you certainly can't be on the phone with every person for a half hour because you're never going to get through the database. That's part one of it. Part two, though, is that I'm suggesting you call them multiple times a year. And if you're going to do that and every conversation with them is that long, first of all, that's all you're doing. But from their perspective, they're going to start saying, oh, well, I don't know if I can pick up the phone because Rupa's calling. And every time she calls, it's like a half hour. I don't really have a half hour to talk to her right now. So if we can keep our conversations short, then it's going to encourage them to want to pick up the phone, because it's going to say, oh, Nicole's here. I know it's a quick hi, hello, and I'll be happy after. It'll just be a couple minutes. I can take the call now. So you're also framing things for them and setting them up for being able to want to accept your calls moving forward too. And the big thing is, don't make it about you when you make this phone call. So instinctively, when you ask them how they're doing, they're going to ask you back how things are going with you. And the answer is going to be fantastic. Everyone's good at home. Thanks for asking. And you move on. We don't necessarily need to get into the details of, well, you know, I'm really having trouble with this, or we just had this great thing for my, we don't need to get into all of that, because remember, the reason you're calling is to check on them. So just stay focused on them the entire conversation. And then some people will also say, well, I don't really feel comfortable making a phone call. It's been a long time. I haven't talked to, you know, this client we closed in 2015, and they're going to think it's kind of weird that I call now, right? So I don't know if I want to make that phone call. Well, my response to that is people really don't think about you as much as you think they do. So they're not sitting around thinking, oh my gosh, you know, Gene just has not called me at all. Like, I'm really upset. And so when he calls, I'm going to yell at him for calling me after 5 years. That's not how people think, right? They're just going to say, oh, how nice, Gene, what's going on? They may say, I haven't heard from you in a while. No, yeah, so how are things going? You just go right into it, right? That's it. No, not a problem. So so let's not make it a bigger deal than it is. I know there's a whole book on call reluctance. I have actually read a really good book on it. If anyone needs, I'll give you the details of it. But it's, yeah, we make up all these excuses and stories as to why not to, but it's easy to do so. And then my biggest recommendation on doing this is putting the date and time for the calls in your calendar now. If we don't schedule it, it doesn't happen, right? So we've got to schedule it in order to make it easy for us to do it. You can do it, and people do it in different ways. Sometimes people pick times of years that they want to do it, and they say, I'm just going to spend this week and I'm going to call the entire database. Some people like to just split up the alphabet and say, I'm going to call all my A's this week, all my B's this week, all my C's this week, depending on the size of your database. And then they have a set day of the week. The Fridays are my past client call days. And so I'm going to block from 9 to 11 Friday mornings, and I'm going to call everyone on my database. So you could do it that way. So whatever it is though, and whatever works for you is fine. But if you have a routine and are specific about it, then the chances of implementation are great, not just one time, but regularly. So definitely a net recommendation too there. And then if for people that have large databases, you know, then there are dialers that you can use to help, like something like a phone burner, or getting somebody to do it. And the last thing I would say is if you really, really are not going to do it, and like it's just something that you dread beyond belief, and it's the thought of it makes your skin crawl, and you don't, all of a sudden you have a fever that day because you're not ready to do it, hire somebody to do it for you. Like if it comes to that, just hire somebody to do it for you. There are people that are home looking for something to do. You give them a script, you tell them what to do, and you can pay them for a certain number of hours or a certain number of calls. And even, so doesn't mean you have to hire an assistant for everything. So I'm not talking about increasing your budget 1,000 times, but just even if you hire somebody just to make these phone calls for you, that would be great. Yeah, Gene.
I was just going to add, well, hang on one second. Oh, a lot of my agents actually use virtual assistants, which are way cheaper than hiring somebody here. And I think the most they pay, I think their most expensive one, I think is like $4 an hour.
Yeah, there's some that are 5 now. Yeah, but yeah, they're that cheap.
It sounds like it's like robbery, but you know, when they're in the Philippines and they're, you know, making that per hour, that's actually considered like really high. So it does really work. And there's a lot of, you know, websites out there that people can find any of these VAs to do any possible task.
Absolutely, agreed. Thank you for bringing that up. Yeah, and if anyone does need to hire a VA, I actually have a friend who owns a company that specifically, all they do is they help find VAs for realtors. So it's a placement service for VAs. So if that's something that people have a need for, we can certainly introduce you to that resource. Jean, especially if you have somebody in your office that's looking, I'll connect you with these guys because they're really fabulous. They've helped us find a VA that we have. My husband's used them to hire a VA too. So
you can send me the info because I'm actually looking for someone to do a few things with social media.
Okay, yeah, I'll send it to you. And I'll send you this other resource that I recently had too for social media. So I'll send you a couple of things on that. Yeah, let me just jot that down. Gene, social media or VA hiring. Okay, yeah, I'll introduce you. And then, you know, there's the tools too. If you combine the two too, I've done this before too, where I combined phone burner with the VA. Do you guys know what phone burner is? Or the concept of it? The concept is basically you enter all your phone numbers into it. you pre-record a voicemail, and then it'll basically start dialing. It's like a dialer. So it would dial Kelsey first, let's say her number pops up, and then on the screen, I have an option. If it goes to your voicemail, I hit leave voicemail, and then it automatically starts dialing Nicole next. And Nicole doesn't answer, I just hit the leave voicemail button, and it's a voicemail that I've pre-recorded. So it's the same fresh, exciting voicemail, because I'm not doing it like for the 4 times in a row and getting sick of leaving the voicemail either, by the way. And then by the time it dials again, and if it comes to Larissa and it goes there and it picks up, right, and she picks up the phone, then I can say, hi, how are you, and have the conversation that I wanted to have. But all the other people are getting my voicemail. So what I've done is I've combined the VA with the phone burner, because about 70% of the time you're going to get a voicemail. So that 70% of the time, those people thought that I dialed them myself. So I get, oh, that was so nice of you to call me. And then the 30% that picked up, they got the VA that got on the phone. So it was a win-win either way, because all these other people thought that I took the time to pick up the phone and call them. So they were happy to do that. So that's another way to do it.
So it's not, is it similar to, I'm thinking like slide dial, but it's not really slide dial, right?
It's not slide dial, because slide dial automatically goes into voicemail.
Oh, okay. This is actually ringing their phone.
This is ringing their phone.
Okay.
So, and I like this better because you know, it's conversations that you're looking for, right? Because it's the conversations that lead to conversion, right?
Yeah.
So you want that conversation, but you know that you're not going to get it most of the time is the reality.
Yeah, slide dial is perfect for somebody that you actually don't want to talk to.
Exactly. Slide dial is perfect when you don't want to have, and I think I probably have that in here too. There you go. That's my next one. So if you don't have the time, and then you know about slide broadcast as well, right? So slide broadcast is like slide dial, but when you have a huge list of people and you just have no time to make that phone call, at least you can get that out and just get a broadcast out to everybody and pop in their voicemail. So yeah, those are both great tools too. And then there's snail mail, right? So then we move over to the different topic, which is snail mail, sending something in the mail. And so I am not a fan of postcards or marketing material as your snail mail. I know that's what a lot of agents send, is it just listed and this, that's all. I mean, I understand the purpose of that, but what I'm talking about is a different purpose, because we want to stay top of mind in a way that makes you relatable also to these folks, and not just view you as a salesperson. So have you guys heard of Joe Garrison? If you look in the Guinness Book of World Records, he's the #1 salesperson like in the Guinness Book of World Records. He sold cars. He sold cars, and he's sold more than any other human being apparently. And his secret, and he has a book too. And his secret was that every month he hand wrote a card that said, I like you, to every single person that he ever sold a card to. Every single person. Yeah. And all the letter said was, I like you. That's all it said. So it was kind of fascinating, but it worked. And so I personally have modified it, because I feel a little bit uncomfortable if Jean gets a card from me that says, I like you. I don't want Allison thinking that something's going on, right? So I'm not going to send a card that says, I like you. But what I've modified it to is I appreciate you. So I've sent cards that say, I appreciate you. I think I've sent them that says, you're cool, or you're awesome. I think, yeah, I've done you're awesome too. So there are things that still convey the same message, but that don't have any creepy responses back. So you can do something like that, right? But the I like you people have done it. I have female friends that have done it, and they've gotten some creepy responses, but they've gotten a ton of deals, and they say, I don't care, I'll deal with the creepy responses. So,
what's the Superman letter?
I'm sorry?
What is the Superman letter?
The Superman letter is a letter that shares a story of how you've helped somebody and been their hero, basically. So it can be the story. Let me tell you the story of how Lucy came in and wanted to buy a house, and you know, she needed to be out of her home within 60 days because her lease was over, and blah, 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 right? And so, and you get the permission of the person that you're telling the story about, of course, but you tell them how you came, you know, how you share the story of how you've helped this person in this situation, and ends with, if you know anyone else that's in a need like this, we're here to help, kind of. So that's a Superman's letter. It's a testimonial in a cool way. Yeah. And then of course the I like you I talked about. I'm a real person just like you. That is, you know, people like to do business with people that they know, they like, and they trust. So we have to give them a chance to get to know us. at a personal level. So I'm a mom, right? I'm sure there's other parents. So I can send a letter with something that relates, and I've sent them, I've sent my kids' artwork to my clients when they were younger. Now they're too old to send their artwork, but when they were younger, I would send their artwork, and I have gotten some of the best feedback on that artwork because I shared something that was real about me and they connected with me on it. I've shared stories of vacation pictures, and I've said in my vacation pictures, well, actually, I want to thank you for letting me have time with my family. It's because of you that I was able to enjoy this time with my family. So I want to thank you for trusting me and helping me with my, and to let me help you with your business, with your mortgage, so that I'm able to have this time with my family. So I've sent them pictures of my vacation. So I've done, and so it was like relatability, because sometimes they think that we're just these commission hungry salespeople, and they don't realize that on the other side of it, we are human beings. And when they realize that we're human beings, and yes, we're earning money helping them, but we have goals just like they do, and we want to do things with our family just like they do. And so I think that relatability really helps them understand that. So that's the other piece of it. So that's I'm a real person just like you. And then there's other things in between. I do a whole lot of invitations now personally. I used to do all these things, and now I have a lot of client events, so I do a lot of invitations as well. So some of my mailers are really just, I handwrite the invitations. I don't get formal invitations. I've never been a formal invitation kind of girl anyway, so maybe that's part of it. But I literally will handwrite and invite, like we usually have a backyard picnic in the summer that we invite all our clients to. That's what I would have been planning right now. And it would be a handwritten invitation like, hey, come join me in my backyard. We're gonna, have a party for you. And that's what we do. And then we usually, we had a spring event plan that's not happening. But we sent them anyway saying, and I think I might just do this anyway, saying, I'm sorry, we're gonna miss you at the picnic this year. And maybe just send them a little something and saying, here's what we're doing in place of it, right? So, but that's, whatever it is, that's you. I think that's the other part that's cool about these is give them a chance to get to know you and let it really be you and let that shine through. Because at the end of the day, people are gonna do business because they know, they like, and they trust you. So give them a chance to get to know you and to like you. Yeah. And then if that doesn't work, like those handwritten note card, the recipe cards, or oh, this is the I like you card, by the way. It's that simple. Took a picture. This is my friend Carl who taught it to me. This is all they did. And then if you can't write them all right by handwritten, then handwrite with blue gel ink, by the way, works exceptionally well if you want to photocopy that with a strong color printer, but it's using a blue gel ink. So if I was to, and this is what I did when I did my invitations, I hand wrote them with blue gel ink, and then we made photocopies of them. And so everyone thought that I wrote them an individual handwritten invitation. So, so that works too. And then I've hired people to address them, literally like Nicole on the Monroe Township page, like I've posted looking for someone to handwrite envelopes. And I don't do that anymore. I have a team that does it, but at the beginning, this is what I did, is I put on there, looking for someone to handwrite some envelopes, and then, we paid them per envelope, and that was it. And it got the job done to have handwritten cards, because people are more likely to open something that's handwritten versus than a typed, mailing. So these are some other examples of different things that you can do. It just, make it fun. Here's another one. I like you a latte. It's like a little, but it's a lot. Like it's something cute that it just gets people to smile. And my intention when I send these, by the way, is to put a smile on their face as they see my name. That's my intention when I send these. Is I'm not expecting them to keep them, to have their fridge full of them or anything. My intention is that you get something in the mail from me, and when you get it, you smile and say, oh, and then you can throw it out. I don't care about that, because now you've associated something positive with my name, and you remember what I do, and that's the intention.
You know what's funny though? A lot of times when people receive these, they'll hang it up somewhere. Like a lot of times they don't even throw it out. They actually feel guilty throwing it out.
I know, which I'm not complaining about that. I'm just saying it's okay if you throw it out too, because sometimes people say, well, they're just going to throw it out. And I said, that's fine. So I want people to realize that it's okay if they throw it out too. Yeah, it's fun if they hang it on the fridge.
But if it came to them like, with a label, or like, the indicia from the a permit number envelope, that's going in the garbage.
Exactly. That's exactly right. And that's why we actually get the stamps, because we have one of those stamp machines, but we don't use that. We actually put the little stamp, each stamp on it, just to make it more personal. Yeah. And the more personal is, the more they feel they have to open it. So yeah. And this has served us really well. We've done this. And again, this is something I did at the beginning when I had no time, as I sent out these sensations. This is something that just lets you, again, get in front of people with either a recipe card or, green living tips, home and garden, whatever you're into, you think your database is into. this is another really great option as well. So you can definitely do this. If you say, I don't have time for any of that, then at least do this. It's not expensive. And it just really is a way to stay in front of people and deliver something of value to them. And these two, I mean, when I did these at the beginning, I did recipe cards, and apparently there was a whole bunch in a row that came out with desserts. And so one of my clients called me and said that they associated, their child was looking forward to my cards because they were looking for the desserts. So I was like, all right, whatever works, right? Like whatever works for you to stay top of mind in that household. And then there's emails, right? So then you email your database on a regular basis. And when it comes to emailing, please don't send real estate information all the time. Because even if I'm in, the only people that are gonna wanna see real estate information all the time are people that are either buying or selling at the moment. All your past clients and your sphere of influence are not buying or selling all the time. So you wanna be able to give them something to look at, even if they're not in the market to buy or sell, so that you stay top of mind to them. So when they talk to somebody who's looking to buy or sell, they think of you.
Hold
on. And then so video marketing, I think you all know that video marketing I think of as a great tool. So definitely video marketing is a wonderful way to do it. And I can tell you, literally, I probably get, I think once or twice a week, no, probably more than that. I'm not even sure, I should count, but the video, you all probably are on my video email list, I think, right? So you probably get my videos. But in response to that, I think there's maybe 5 or 6 people a week that respond back in some capacity, either just saying thank you, but the ones that obviously we're really looking for from a business perspective are the ones that respond back and say, hey, I was thinking about, buying a house or refinancing, whatever it is, right? And I get that on a regular basis. And it's in response to a video thing that I sent them. And seeing my email in there triggered them to reach out to me and reach back to me because I made it easier. All they had to do was hit reply at that point. So that's been super helpful. And people will call me. I didn't even know they were watching the stuff, and they'll call me and say, well, I've been getting your videos. Thank you. And I had no idea that they were even in my database sometimes, and they're doing it. So we put everybody in our database. Like if they called us and it didn't work out, they get the email drip campaign. And so we automatically get them on, and we have people who chose not to work with us at that time who are working with us now because we've stayed in touch with them throughout. So it works. And then the other thing you could send out if you're not sure what to send, right? Because I get this question a lot too, is how do I come up with content every week? So one of the things is just kind of doing something that says what's going on in like New Jersey right now this weekend, like what are some fun things that I could be doing? So that's another way that you can do that. Now you can, again, to up the game, if you do a little video of it, it's going to be even better. But even if you just make a list and say, these are things that are going on around town. And by the way, I'm going to be at this X event. That would be a great, come by and see me if you're going to be there, or shoot me a message if you're going to be there. Well, we can say hello. So that's another way that you have content for yourself for doing something online. And then how do you measure open rate too? I get this question a lot. Well, what if people unsubscribe and everyone's not opening my messages? I don't know if I should be sending them. So, as an initial goal, 10% is a great open rate to get started with. And then getting people to open your message and follow your call to action is what you're really looking for when you send an email. So definitely keep that in mind as you're doing it. And when, people also say it once a week, that's really a lot. And my thought on that is if you're sending junk and writing crap, yeah, then it's too often. But if you're sending something that's of value, then you could do it all day long and every day. So it's really, the key is to make sure you're providing value. And if you're providing value, it's okay. I mean, I know I send a lot of messages and some people do unsubscribe because I send a lot, but I had the nicest unsubscribe ever most recently, where it was actually an agent, and she said, I appreciate all that you do. Thank you so much, but I'm really working on staying out of my email. And so I'm going to unsubscribe, but please don't take any offense to it. I'm going to follow you and I'll just keep me, I'll stay in touch with you. Like that was the message I got. And so I said, well, I can't argue with that. That was a nice unsubscribe. But yeah, people tell me that they get a lot of emails from me, but most of the people, and I was like, and I've asked the question when they tell me that, I say, should I stop sending them? Is it too much? I always ask that question because I'm curious and I'm always worried about that. So I always ask that question, is it too much? And 9 out of 10 times they say no, because it's good stuff. So I can tell you from personal experience, that's usually the message that I get. And on that note though, focus on the fans, right? Because you do get opt-outs. You're always going to have opt-outs. That's part of the way it is, right? And being able to get a yes or no is so important. So if I get a no, it's good to get an answer, like, because there's no money in the maybes, right? Because you spend money on the maybes and it may work or work out. But if I get a no, I know to focus on the people that say yes then. So I think it's great if some people opt out, let it be. And don't stop doing what works because you get a couple of people that say no either, because that's what happens too. I email 1,000 people and 5 people tell me that they don't like the messages. 995 did not, but of course my mind, as most people will do, will be focused on the 5 that told me no, right? But if we focus on that, then we've lost out on the 995 that were interested. Text messages, I don't think I need to tell you guys, but obviously open rates are ridiculous with text messages. People look at them, you send something of value, you keep it cool and light, and people are going to engage with you. It's like that simple, really. And the only thing I would say, and I've learned, is just make sure, especially if it's someone you haven't talked to online, that you do put your name at the end of it, because that does help them know who you are. Although I have found, and I've done it accidentally where I haven't put my name just out of habit, and you get engagement that way because they're trying to figure out who you are if they don't know. So that also does work. But happy holidays, all those things. And there's text message services you can use. Text Magic is one of them. And these are great for sending bulk messages. So if you wanted to send coming up, we have, well, I guess we lost Memorial Day, 4th of July would be the next holiday, right? And so if you want to send a happy 4th of July one or something like that, and you want to just send it to everybody at one time, you could do it as a bulk message from here. Stay safe, enjoy the weekend, whatever you want to say, right? Or or it could be like, what are the plans for the weekend? Obviously, questions encourage more engagement. So asking a question is great. So this is also a great thing to do. And whatever you do, consistency is the key. So I think this is the biggest thing. And this is where people struggle the most. Again, because it's not exciting, it's not new, it's not a shiny object. This is where people struggle the most, is doing these things with consistency. It's when we do them with consistency that we get big results. And then, I think it's always making sure that the content that we're putting out in front of people is good content and it's positive content, and just, being a ray of sunshine. I couldn't tell you how important that is for people. It's more than ever right now, right? Just being a ray of sunshine to people right now can serve you better, more, and give you more fulfillment in different ways than ever right now. So definitely recommend just making sure that you do this with consistency. And then, it's hard to do all of these things. So if you have the ability to hire somebody to help you get these things done, that's a huge asset. And, Jean talked about a VA, and a VA can do most of these things for you, right? So a VA would be a great resource to help you with the emails and to help you with the phone calls, to help you with the social media, all of that a VA can do for you. So then all you're left to, and they could probably even do the texting if you get one of those services too. So they can do all of it for you, as a matter of fact. So you can just keep being in front of people, and if that's where your best use of time is. So I think on that same note, I love this quote, because many will start fast, but it's the few that finish, and the ones that finish and stay consistent are the ones that are going to get the results, right? So definitely doing that. That's what I have for you guys. Questions, comments, feedback.
It was really good. I think the crazy part is that there were only 6 people that actually heard this. I see you were recording it. Is that something you'd be able to share?
Yes, Kelsey, I think is recording it, right? So we can share this.
Because
absolutely.
I would definitely share this, with my office, with the rest of the agents.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, absolutely. And if you wanted me to do it for your agents too, I could do another session for them too, if that helps.
It might even be better because, then it'd be more interactive. They can ask questions.
Yeah, absolutely. Happy to do that.
Picky, what was the book that you mentioned earlier? I think it was called Reluctance.
I think it's called Call Reluctance. Hold on, let me just check.
Call it Reluctance?
Call, C-A-L-L. Oops. I'm just checking to confirm that's the name of, I think that's the actual name of it. I don't think there's anything more to it, but I will tell you. Call Reluctance. It's a short, simple book, and it's real. That's what I like about that book. Yeah, it's just called Call Reluctance by Carl White. Oh no, it's called Crushing Call Reluctance, sorry. And it's a book, it's actually for loan officers, but it applies to realtors too. And then I'll tell you the other book. If I can find the name of the other book, I'll tell you that one too.
I got to jump off, but thank you
Okay,
very much.
thank you. Thank you. Thank you for joining. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Jean.
I'll get you the name of the other book. I don't have that one in front of me, Kelsey.
Okay, thank you. I frequently have call reluctance.
Oh, do you? Yeah, this book is so simple and so effective. It's called Crushing. Here, I can even send it to you this way.
Yeah, I pulled it up.
So you pulled it up? Okay. All right. Yeah, it's a fast read. Yeah. Awesome.
Okay. Thank you so much for this
Thank
presentation.
you. Yeah. Thank you guys for joining and engaging. I appreciate
Thank
it.
you, Pinky. Thank you.
Thank you, Lucy.
Okay.
I really appreciate it. Thank you so very much, Pinky.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much for joining.